Ayrton Senna crosses the line and you can see his exultation. He knows he is the world champion.
McLaren's Formula One team has a rich and storied history, dating back to the early days of the sport.
There is the world champion.
Over the years, the team has enjoyed incredible success on the track, winning numerous championships and establishing itself as one of the top teams in the sport.
Mika Häkkinen literally goes downhill to victory. Look at the joy, the euphoria of the McLaren team on the left.
However, like all great teams, McLaren has also experienced its share of setbacks and challenges.
Mate, I have no brakes, no tires. We are out of the points. I mean, we try to do whatever, but I don't care too much.
So stick around to the end of the video to see McLaren's rise to fame, its glory days, and what went wrong, all leading up to this season despite their talented driver lineup. Now, the early years of McLaren's Formula One team were marked by success and innovation. The team was founded in 1963 by Bruce McLaren, a New Zealand racing driver who had already made a name for himself in the sport. McLaren's early years were focused on developing innovative and groundbreaking technologies, including the first carbon fiber monocoque chassis, which was used on the team's cars in the late 1970s.
There he is. There is the world champion of 1984.
The 1980s were a golden era for McLaren, with the team dominating the sport and winning numerous championships.
There he goes into a very famous victory.
We're looking at the new world champion, and Senna certainly won it in grand style because he had to fight all the way.
The period was marked by the partnership between the team and the legendary Brazilian driver Ayrton Senna. Senna joined McLaren in 1988 and the team immediately began to dominate the sport. In his first season with the team, Senna won 8 out of 16 races and secured his first world championship.
Ayrton Senna crosses the line and you can see his exultation. He knows he is the world champion. This man who is usually very quiet and calm in the cockpit. Yet another first and second places for McLaren.
Over the next few years, McLaren continued to dominate the sport, with Senna winning 2 more championships in 1990 and 1991.
When you go into this electronic war, it's obvious that you need a sort of active suspension or active or electronic control suspension, engine management, lots and lots of devices if you want to be competitive.
The team's success was due in part to its innovative technologies, including active suspension, which allowed the car to maintain a constant ride height regardless of the terrain, and traction control, which helped to maximize grip on the track. However, McLaren's dominance would not last forever. In the mid-1990s, the team began to experience a decline as other teams began to catch up with its innovative technologies. The team also struggled with internal conflicts and management issues, which led to a number of high-profile departures, including that of Senna in 1993. Despite these setbacks, McLaren continued to compete at a high level, and in the early 2000s, the team experienced a resurgence.
Here is the flying Finn as he signs himself when you ask him for his autograph.
This period was marked by the partnership between the team and the Finnish driver, Mika Häkkinen, who won 2 consecutive championships in 1998 and 1999. The team also enjoyed success with drivers like David Coulthard and Kimi Räikkönen, who both won races for the team in the early 2000s. However, as the decade progressed, McLaren began to experience more challenges.
A magnificent race for Häkkinen, a superb race for McLaren, but a brilliant race for Michael Schumacher.
The team struggled to keep up with the dominance of Ferrari, which won 5 consecutive championships from 2000 to 2004.
Now he takes an unprecedented 7th world title at the team's 700th Grand Prix.
The team also faced a number of controversies, including a spying scandal in 2007 that resulted in the team being fined $100 million and excluded from the Constructors' Championship.
McLaren Mercedes are stripped of all constructor points for the 2007 World Championship, and the team will score no points for the remainder of the season.
Despite these setbacks, McLaren continued to compete at a high level, and in the late 2000s, the team enjoyed a brief period of success.
Nice start by both the McLarens. Hamilton's had some manners put on him by Kubica, but he comes round the outside. He's also gone round Alonso. Stunning start by Lewis Hamilton.
This was marked by the partnership between the team and the British driver, Lewis Hamilton, who won the World Championship in 2008.
Is that clock going slowly?
It is, it's clock. Oh my goodness me. Hamilton's back in position again. He is going to claim 5th place, which is all he needs to do to become the 2008 Formula One World Champion, Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton continued to be a dominant force in the sport, winning races for the team in 2009 and 2010. However, as the 2010s progressed, McLaren began to experience a decline once again. The team struggled to keep up with the dominance of Red Bull Racing and Mercedes, which began to dominate the sport in the early 2010s.
It's 9 in a row for Sebastian Vettel. It's 13 in a season for Sebastian Vettel. He wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's a Red Bull 1-2.
The team also struggled with a number of management and organisational issues, which led to a number of high-profile departures, including that of Hamilton in 2012. In recent years, McLaren has made efforts to rebuild and regain its status as one of the top teams in Formula One. In 2019, the team hired Andreas Seidel as team principal, and he's overseen a number of changes aimed at improving the team's performance. Now, one of these changes was the decision to switch to Mercedes engine in 2021, which had already shown promising results in pre-season testing. Andreas Seidel, however, left on a bitter note. The team also made a number of changes to its driver lineup in recent years. In 2019, the team hired young drivers Carlos Sainz Jr. and Lando Norris, who have both shown promise and helped to improve the team's overall performance. Sainz had a strong season in 2020, finishing 6th in the Drivers' Championship before departing for Ferrari in 2021. Norris also had a strong season in 2020, finishing 9th in the championship. Subsequently, Norris finished 6th and 7th respectively in 2021 and 2022. This is why Norris entered this season with big expectations, but after 2 races, none of those expectations are fulfilling right now.
Meanwhile, into the pits again, Lando Norris, Ted Kravitz.
I'm getting used to this. Lando's not, he's hating it.
It was not a great start by any measure for a team that has set 4th place as a minimum achievement in 2023. However, while the reliability issues were painful, there is light at the end of the new Woking wind tunnel. That's because the team knows it has performance coming, that it can bolt onto the car for the 4th round of the season in Azerbaijan, with more to follow after that thanks to a change in philosophy made last year. And once the new tunnel is commissioned in June, it should allow the team to make a significant step forward in terms of the effectiveness of its aero program as the 2024 project starts to take shape. Thus, in contrast to the apparent disarray at Mercedes and Ferrari, McLaren has a quiet confidence about it.
As yet again then for Fernando Alonso for the 2nd time already this season on the podium.
The success that Aston Martin had over the winter in making a giant leap in aero performance serves as inspiration. The danger of relying on an upgrade package is that when the new bits do come, they don't make a dramatic difference relative to its rivals who are also making progress.
But even with the DRS open there, the McLaren could have passed the Williams, so I think their problems are very clear for everyone to see.
However, for the time being, McLaren is prepared to take the heat of a subpar performance. The elephant in the room, however, is what would this mean for Lando Norris? He has had a rough start to the 2023 Formula One season. Both in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, the young Brit came in 17th, which is making some people wonder if he would be better off somewhere else. Over the past year or so, there has been more and more talk about the 23-year-old leaving McLaren. Even though he still has a contract until 2025, the chances are better now. Many people say that McLaren hasn't given Norris a car that can help him compete with the best. Norris is very good at what he does, but it seems like he's not making the most of it. The worry is that Norris is McLaren's best driver, but the car isn't made in any way to fit his skills.
I mean, coming out of last year, you get a bit of a picture of what you want from the car, what you want to improve, so that's what we tried to do with this year's car.
For many teams with a clear top driver, the car is built to fit that driver much better than it does the other driver on the team. But that's not the case here, and it seems to be keeping Norris from even having a chance to finish in the points. Even though the situation isn't that urgent for Norris, he could leave if the right chance came up. Currently, the two genuine options for Norris are Mercedes and Alfa Romeo. Joining Mercedes is a big if, and it all depends on what Lewis Hamilton chooses to do with his future. If the 7-time world champion does choose to depart, then Norris could potentially be the frontrunner to replace him. Regardless of what Norris chooses to do with his future, there is a visible path to him racing for a championship contending team. And although it may not result in him winning the driver championship for himself yet, he could be someone who wins races and finishes on the podium regularly.
I actually saw that last month both of you were out karting together. Did that give you the opportunity to size each other up a little bit? Well, was it all friendly?
It was all friendly.
It was friendly.
It was friendly.
We had strict orders. We couldn't crash into each other.
Yeah, no crashing.
Oscar Piastri, on the other hand, is very humble when it comes to his teammate. He admitted that he's not as consistent as is Lando. Oscar says that he has trouble staying consistent from lap to lap. He said that on some laps he did great, but on others he was too slow. The young Australian is becoming a good driver even after his 15th place in Jeddah because of how hard he works. During the 2023 F1 season, it'll be interesting to see how the race between the two drivers goes. And a lot of people after the race on social media were very adamant that Daniel Ricciardo was smiling after he saw that McLaren result. One pundit tweeted that McLaren had already made 2 pit stops by lap 3 of a race, leading to the conclusion that Ricciardo was the real winner. These comments suggest that some people believe that McLaren may have made a mistake in replacing Ricciardo and that his departure may have had a negative impact on the team's performance. So what do you think? Will McLaren bounce back or will they have a terrible season? Let us know in the comments down below.